What is going on today, guys? AU here, and today we're talking about our Hail team again. I want to start out this video by saying that we are so close to 100 subscribers, so if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We have 5 more left until we hit 100 subscribers, and that's huge. It wasn't but 2 weeks ago we had about, I think, 22 or something like that, so we have definitely grown a lot in the past 2 weeks. Now, what I've mainly been doing on my channel is posting teams like this, and I post those teams also on Reddit, and a lot of people seem to be using those teams, and I've had 2 people come back to me just this past weekend, and they have placed top 16, one in the Rose Tower tournament and one in the Galar Friendly, which used to be called the Galar Weekly. So if you look at the Galar Friendly's Twitter, the number 6 guy actually used one of my rental teams, and the guy that used the Rose Tower circuit team, he actually took a lot of inspiration from my Hell team, but changed it up just a little bit to suit his style more, and I actually really like the changes that he made. Now, you'll see here on the layout, one thing we have different is there's no alchemy on this team. Now, we replaced it with Rotom. Rotom covers a lot of the weaknesses that this team had some trouble with. Gyarados is one thing that gave this team kind of a hard time. You have Freeze Dry on Vanillix, but nothing really great other than that to hit water types. And I mean, you have there's actually no energy ball on this Whimsicott because I actually took it off, but we'll get into that. But you have Freeze Dry to hit water types, which is okay, but not fantastic. So here comes Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat deals with steel types that hurt the team a little bit. It deals with grass types that hurt Inteleon. It also deals with the flying types that hurt Conkeldurr. It deals with the water types that Ice-Q and Vanillix have a hard time hitting for super effective damage. It hits bug types, it just hits a lot of the weaknesses that this team has, and I personally liked it as an addition. Now, he was using a nasty plot set, but I personally like this bulkier set. We are speed creeping Gyarados with this set, so we outspeed Gyarados by 1, and then the rest is just put in HP. We have 252 HP, and then the rest is put into special attack. We're running Piggy Berry for the 33% recovery, and we are running Overheat, Thunderbolt, Will-O-Wisp just to make the team seem a little bit more bulkier against physical attackers and protect. Now, like I said, this thing just covers a lot of the weaknesses, and we'll get into that more tomorrow whenever I post the battle video of it. But I just think Rotom as a whole really brought this team together for him, and I'm actually going to leave his Twitter down in the description below, so if you want to check out his rental team, he did post it, so I'll leave his Twitter down in the description, then you can go check that out. And there's some other changes that I made to this team actually. Now, Vanillix is the exact same. Focus Dash, No Warning, those 4 moves, and then Max Speed, Max Special Attack. Now, if you haven't been to my channel before and you're just checking out this Hail team, I'm going to put the card up in the right hand corner right now for the first video of the Hail team, and it goes into more depth. But basically, Vanillix is here to set up Aurora Veil and to set the Hail for the rest of the team. Bringing it in the back is usually how it goes with this team, because leading with Hail can kind of be hard with things like Torkoal, Tyranitar, and the max moves that are able to change the weather. Those are so prevalent in the format right now. So to win the weather war, you always want to kind of bring Vanillix in the back unless you know that the opponent has no way to change your weather. We paired Vanillix up with Inteleon. Now, in the old rental code, Inteleon was choice specs. Since I made some changes to Ice-Q, it left Life Orb open, so I put Life Orb on Inteleon. That lets us run Protect on Inteleon, which was really big for stalling out Trick Room teams. If you have been to the channel, you know that I like Protect on Pokemon for that purpose of stalling out Trick Room teams and playing the mind games of being able to read and attack from your opponent into your Protect Mon, and putting you into that position of the momentum is on your side at that point. Now, the Life Orb allows us to do that. We're also running Air Slash for Max Airstream if you ever Dynamax Inteleon. I got a lot of feedback that people actually Dynamax Inteleon a good bit, and if you know anything, Choice Specs doesn't help out in Dynamax form, so Life Orb is also helping there because you actually get a boost while you're Dynamax. So we have Air Slash for the Dynamax Max Airstream. Blizzard because it does a ton of damage. If you compare Inteleon and Vanillix together and just double Blizzard spam, you can put so many dents in the opponent's team. It's kind of crazy at how effective that is. Just to give you an idea, Dynamax Duraludon, I don't think Dynamax Duraludon can take a Blizzard from Vanillix and Inteleon at the same time. I think it is KO'd on that turn, depending on how it's trained. If it's Assault Vest, then obviously not. But if it has no special defense investment and no Assault Vest, then Dynamax Duraludon actually, I'm pretty sure, is KO'd by the two Blizzards. Now, we also have Blizzard on here because you can reset Hail with Inteleon. You don't actually need Vanillix to reset Hail or Ice-Q. You can just Dynamax Inteleon, reset the Hell, and Ice-Q's ready to go again. And then we also have Snipe Shot, which is really good in Dynamax form too, because you can set Rain. Now, if you have Ice-Q out and he is a broken Ice Face, but it's hailing, then he can't regenerate it. It has to regenerate on the turn that Hell comes in. So what you do is you would change the weather to Rain, and then the next turn you change the weather back to Hell, and Ice-Q can get Ice Face back. And then with Inteleon, we're actually going to run those 4 EVs there and run a max speed, max special attack. Inteleon is super fast. It hits that speed tier to where in Tailwind it outspeeds a +1 Dragapult. If they're not in Tailwind, it also outspeeds Scarf or Manatan if they're not in Tailwind, and all those good things. So it's been a really good speed tier to outspeed Cinderace by 1. So if you're ever up against a Cinderace, you know you always outspeed them by 1. And then we have Conkeldurr. Now, Vanillix Conkeldurr is a really strong core because if you think about it, Vanillix is weak to Rock, it's weak to Fire, it's weak to Steel, and it's weak to, I feel like there's one more, Fighting. So Conkeldurr can resist Fighting. Well, it doesn't actually resist Fighting, but it takes Fighting moves pretty well. Most Fire types are special attackers, and we have the Assault Vest on Conkeldurr, and they could even burn Conkeldurr with a Flamethrower or something, so that would boost his attack with Guts. So it kind of synergizes pretty well there, and he hits Rock types and Steel types for super effective damage. And then you add Conkeldurr behind a Royal, and Pokemon just becomes insanely bulky. So the Vanillix Conkeldurr core is kind of how this team started. And then I added in things like Inteleon and Whimsicott for some speed control, and then Ice-Q came into play because Ice-Q was actually really strong in my opinion. And then, like I said, his name is SwagMaster. He actually added in the Rotom Heat over the Alchemy. So this team has just come along in a bunch of different ways, and the Conkeldurr is EV'd to live a Solar Power Charizard Dynamax Max Airstream in the sun. Now, if you saw Dallas, there's a lot of people running Fake Tears Whimsicott and Gigantamax Charizard. If you run into that, you will also live that hit. If they Fake Tears and then they Max Airstream into you, you will also live that hit. The only downside is at this point, a lot of the Gigantamax Charizards are running Chardy Berry, so you won't actually OHKO it with the Max Rockfall. Now, you can Max Lightning or you can Max Rockfall. Either one, it doesn't really matter. But having Vanillix on the other side to get off a Blizzard helps take that Charizard out. Now, so that's one thing I wanted to point out because I always get questions on, well, what if you run into the -2, the Fake Tears Gigantamax Charizard set? And the answer is you still live that. The good thing is, even if you are facing them on the in-game ladder, because in-game ladder is actually messed up and it does allow for Solar Power Gigantamax Charizard, they can't set Sun and they can't set Fake Tears on the same turn. So you don't have to worry about ever dying to a Max Charizard in one hit as long as you're Dynamaxed. Next, we have Whimsicott. Its Expert Belt actually did change Energy Ball to Fake Tears. And the reason for that is because Fake Tears plus Blizzard, or Fake Tears plus Rotom Thunderbolt, actually really synergizes really well with this team. Now we're running Tailwind and Protect. A lot of people always ask me why I run Protect, and the reason is for fake out Pokemon. Now, if you lead, say you lead Whimsicott and Vanillix, and your opponent leads Scrafty and Togekiss, right? You can know for a fact that they are going to fake out Whimsicott and they're going to Max Airstream that slot. there's no reason for them not to, really, because if you think about it, it's too valuable. Whimsicott is too valuable of a Pokemon for them to not risk that play. So they're always going to make that play. So a lot of Whimsicotts don't run Protect, so they'll be forced to switch out so they don't get KO'd and they can come back in the late game and set up a late game Tailwind. Now, if you have Protect on Whimsicott, you can just Protect turn 1, let them hit you with Fake Out, and let them max Airstream you. They'll do about half of your HP, and then you can set up a Tailwind on turn 2. Now, this puts your opponent in a really tough position because you have to think they've pretty much wasted Scrafty turn 1, because say you lead that plus Conkeldurr and you can take out the Scrafty, or you lead that plus Inteleon and you can do some major damage to the Scrafty and then also do some major damage to the Togekiss on the next turn. It's just that really puts them on their back legs, and they have to make up. They have to spend the next 2 or 3 turns trying to make up for that one Protect that you did on turn 1. Now, that's the reason I like Protect on Whimsicott. A lot of people don't run Protect on Whimsicott because they think that having other support moves are better, but to me, having that momentum swing right at the very beginning of the match, just like that, is very valuable. Now, I'm also running Moonblast just because we can hit things like opposing Conkeldurrs, Scrafties, any fighting type that you might run into, and then Fake Tears, like I said before, we're running max speed, max special attack, and 4 HP. Nothing really special there. And then the last change I made to the team was actually with Ice-Cube. It used to be Life Orb and it had Protect over Belly Drum, but that was because it was paired with Alchemy, and taking Alchemy off the team kind of makes Ice-Cube a little underwhelming. And I had another person I actually watched them in the Showdown VGC room just sweep a tournament with this team, and they actually put Belly Drum on Ice-Cube. Now, I never have really liked Belly Drum just because I feel like it can put you in a bad spot sometimes, but if you can find Ice-Cube in a match with 2 opposing physical attackers, you know that one of them has to break Ice Face first, and a lot of the times you can tell whether they're going to try to double into that slot or not. So it makes it a lot easier to get up that Belly Drum, and then at that point you're +6 attack and you're a monster. So even if they do break Ice Face, you can come in with Vanillix after you set up a Belly Drum, reset Ice Face, Dynamax, and kind of just sweep the team, and that's what I saw him do with that, which is what made me want to run this set. Now, you actually can run 252 in his HP because it ends up at an even number. I think that's where I think you want to be at an even number. That way when you Belly Drum, it would go down to what, 90? It would go down to 91, and then he would eat his Citrus Berry and recover 25%. The rest of the moves are the same. We have Icicle Crash, Liquidation, and Iron Head. Those are all really good because Icicle Crash can reset weather, Liquidation can change weather to rain, and Iron Head can boost your defenses. One interesting interaction is between Conkeldurr and Ice-Cube. You can actually Mach Punch Ice-Cube, make it fast, because if you didn't know, in broken Ice Face form, Ice-Cube's speed actually is raised. It's raised by a pretty good margin. So you can actually make it fast to outspeed whatever's on the other side. Depending on what the weather is, you can max Hailstorm or max Geyser. If you max if the weather is normal or a different weather, you can max Hailstorm, do some major damage, and then reset Ice Face all on the same turn. So I think that's pretty cool. Just a cool synergy between those 2 Pokemon, and I actually really like this version of the team. So if you want to see SwagMaster's version, go down to the description, click on his Twitter, give him a follow, check out his team. He got top 16, like I said, in Rose Tower. So I mean, it's pretty good, and I think I was kind of underestimating it whenever I made it too. But with the amount of success I've seen some people having with it, I've kind of went back and reevaluated how this team could do in VGC, and I think it's pretty strong. So with that, guys, I think I'm going to leave you here. So like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.